Awesome, everybody. Welcome to the mental masterclass. So I don't know if this is news to anybody, but dieting, losing weight, reaching goals, ultimately changing your identity is not just follow these macros. My friends say it best is you're not just a bunch of bones, muscle, fat, and skin and organs. What's between the ears is probably what's stopping you from reaching your ultimate goal more than anything else. And before we even get into how to fix everything, we also need to bring awareness to what is the issue. And I think one of the biggest issues is, if you have dieted and failed, you might identify as someone who diets and fails all the time. That is literally who you identify with. If you've tried Weight Watchers and failed, if you've tried Noom and didn't lose the weight, if you tried Optavia and you gained all the weight back, if you tried, insert any fat loss scheme or anything that was like fast or unsustainable, or even like, maybe you lost the weight doing really crazy exercises or workouts like crazy, or a boot camp where you did Orange Theory and you had some success, but you didn't get to your end goal and you failed. You identify as somebody who diets and then gains the weight back. You might identify as somebody who is extremely cyclical throughout the calendar year of, what your weight does. And one of the craziest things is, if you never address this stuff, you're really going to struggle in your journey. It's actually why within the first month of working with us, our coaches, we take our clients through an exercise to make sure that they're getting everything that they can on that mental side, because it is different. I've talked about the phases of my program 100 times before. And, in phase one, it is the metabolic priming, getting your metabolism in a place where your body's okay letting go of fat and losing weight. That's super important. But also with that, just stay with me for a second, because this sounds crazy, but what if you identified as a successful someone who was successful in the dieting, and you identified as like a healthy person? And when I say healthy, you have a really good sense of balance when it comes to your nutrition, your diet, your exercise, your steps, your stress management, your sleep patterns, your water intake. What if that's just who you were all the time? How convenient would it be if, you just identified and showed up as the best version of yourself every day, and then the weight loss would just come? Like, how cool would that be if you really didn't have to put in any energy and effort, and you just kind of slowly stepped into the shoes of the best version of yourself? Because I think another really crazy thing that no one ever puts this in this order is, typically you diet to lose weight. You diet to be a smaller version of yourself. You cut calories to, lose fat and get smaller. I get that. But really, your results are lagging indicators of the lifestyle that you've been living for the past 3 to 6 months. So I'm not here to call anyone out tonight. It's not that kind of training. But what have you been doing for the past 3 to 6 months to show yourself that you deserve to become the best version of yourself? And I think that's an aha moment that really hit with me. If I want to be leaner, if I want to weigh 190 pounds, or, for me, whatever that number is, if I want that, I need to walk the walk for 3 to 6 months consistently. Otherwise, I can't really be upset that it didn't happen. All right. So that is kind of the premise. This is just understanding that your results are lagging indicators of what you're doing and how you're living. You're not going to have this crazy initial result that is sustainable if you do things to the extreme. Only reason I'm pretty certain on that, not 100% certain, because there's always that doubt that comes in your mind. It's because I've messed that up for, like I said, over a decade. I feel the best physical and mental shape of my life, and I attribute to doing a lot of very hard exercise and a lot of, staring at the mirror and having hard conversations with myself. A lot of time in these little notepads, writing about down my thoughts. So what I want to give to you guys are 3 exercises to ultimately become the best version of yourself. But, things that you can do tonight And I think that's another really crazy thing is like, if I wanted to be an amazing husband, the best father, if I wanted to be, you know, I don't know, the most amazing online nutrition coach, if I wanted to be all these things, well, I have to make a decision. And I actually can become all those things in the snap of my fingers. Will everybody else notice those things? Probably not. But if I just decide that I want to be the world's best online nutrition coach, well, what do I have to do? I'm probably going to do a lot of read a lot of peer reviewed research. I'm probably going to go mentor with some of the brightest minds in the world, which I'm doing in October. I'm going to NCS down in Orlando. I'm going to listen to Alan Argon. I'm going to listen to Lane Norton and a bunch of other people that are, on the cutting edge side of the nutrition space. So I'm super excited about that. If I want to become the best online nutrition coach, I would find ways to really relate with every client so that I can get them to follow through for themselves and get them to do everything that I'm talking about right now. But I have to show up as that person every day if I want that to come to fruition. But right now, I could decide that that's what I want. And then that's the decision you need to make. So if you're listening to this, you have to ask yourself, what do you want? And what does that look like? Because I think it's really simple. So say you want to lose 50 pounds. Well, it's not, like I said, I've talked about in the past, it's not that crazy to lose 50 pounds. Yes, I've lost 50 pounds. I've gained back 30 of those multiple times, like over, 10, 5, 15, whatever. Lost 23 the most recent time. That's what I'm talking about now. But to lose 50 pounds, you got to be active. You got to be healthy. You got to be hydrated. You got to prioritize sleep. You need to mitigate stress. You need to eat enough. And if you eat enough protein, it makes life easier. You eat enough fiber, you poop regularly, keeps the gut health going in the right spot. If you manage your lifestyle, you'll show up and you'll be 50 pounds later one day. If you want to be as efficient as possible, it always helps to have that outside source holding you accountable. But you got to decide that's what I want to be. You have to actually want that, because then all you got to do is remember, like, oh, if that's my goal, it just has to stay in the front of your mind. Because if that is your goal, well, then when somebody asks you if you want to go and get a bunch of beers, it's easy to say, no, thanks. Or you can go out and you can drink water, because alcohol might slow your progress. And when you drink alcohol, you have a tendency to snack a lot. And when you have just a couple of drinks, you actually have this really weird tendency to just always be putting something in your mouth. And again, I might just be talking to me. If anybody relates, you can always drop some fire in the chat. Let me know that I'm not alone in the world. Just hit that like button. Or maybe I am the only crazy person that when I drink, I just can't stop snacking. So I drink a little less. If someone invites me to go, sit somewhere and do nothing, or maybe watch a full day of football, well, before I go do that, I want to go exercise. Because I know, if I'm going to be inactive for a long period of time, I got to kind of earn that. It's not a penance. It's not a negative thing. It's just, if I'm not going to move, I'm going to feel worse tomorrow. So I want to move a little bit more. That's why I exercise personally. Okay. So the first exercise that you guys can do right now, sitting in your chair, is the best version of yourself exercise. I've done it in the past. I used to get more emotional, and unfortunately, I don't feel that emotion overload anymore. But basically, what you want to do is you just get as detailed as possible. So you pretty much close your eyes and you look over to your right and you visualize the best version of yourself standing there in the flesh, right there, right next to you. And you go, you start at the toes. What do your toes look like? What do your feet look like? Your ankles, your knees, your hips. Work your way up your body, your butt, your hips, your abs, your chest, your shoulders. How do you look? What's your posture look like? Are you standing? Are you seated? Where are you in the world? And then you get very detailed, what does your hair look like? What do you smell like? What kind of jewelry are you wearing? And then you address yourself in the best version of yourself. I'm still rocking probably a golf hat, maybe a polo. Maybe it's just workout clothes. Maybe it's business casual. I don't know. In the best version, I still have multiple versions of me that I have to show up in every day. I got a lot of hats to wear per se, but you just visualize the best version of yourself. And when I take our clients through this, I get so detailed. I'm talking about how they act at parties, I want to talk about where they vacation, what kind of car they drive. I don't even want to talk about 100% their vacation. I want to know, how are you getting to the airport? What kind of car are you riding every day? How do you show up as yourself? You know, like when you're interacting with your husband, how do you act? What do you say? What are some things that you say every day? And I get so detailed that it just paints this clear picture of the person that you want to become. And the second that you do this exercise, you now can no longer be ignorant that I just hope that this happens one day, because you have a clear destination of where you want to get to. Well, if you set your lifestyle up and have standards for yourself and set boundaries for yourself, you will become that person one day. Okay. Most people don't think that's true. And that's what breaks my heart. So I've had conversations like, I don't think I deserve to be that person. That's something that I can't always help you with, but that is something that a therapist for sure could, you know, but I'm not going to get into self-love or anything like that. You do have to, you know, love yourself to ultimately become the best version of yourself. Because if you do it out of hatred, if you do it because you're disgusted with yourself, if you do it because you're embarrassed for yourself, if you're doing it for any negative reason or connotation, it's probably going to backslide, because you're going to find more comfort into old behaviors, because it's your subconscious coming up, be like, you're a dieter, this is what you do, you struggle, you self-sabotage, you kick yourself off the progress so that you have to get back onto a diet. Isn't that messed up? So talking about identity shifts real quick, your identity drives your behaviors. It drives your subconscious, which drives your conscious actions. And what I mean by that is your identity, like who you ultimately identify as, your body, your mind wants to protect that at all costs. You know, I'm quoting a lot of my friend Jared here, but you know, he talks about mama bear, you know, mama bear mode protection. You will do anything in your power to stay within the lines of your identity. So ultimately, you know, when we just did that exercise, who you want to become, the best version of yourself, is probably different than who you are today or who you identify as today. So you need to practice showing up as that person. It's not, you can make the decision to become that person in a moment, but you need to now practice and show up as that person consistently for a set period of time before, you know, things start to actually change and you start changing that subconscious, those subconscious actions. Because if you don't do this, your identity is going to come back to like, yeah, like your identity says you want things, but you really don't. And your actions are going to go back to, you know, eating bagels and donuts in the office and muffins every day. They're going to go back to, you know, not being able to control yourself around chips and dips and, you know, go to parties and binge and, you know, overdo it in alcohol every time you go out. And, you know, you're going to go back to making a fool of yourself and all those things. Which I'm pretty excited about. Like I haven't made a fool of myself in quite some time. Maybe a couple weeks ago, just for like an hour, but it wasn't even that bad from what I've been told. So, but you have to change your identity. So now this is the exercise that I urge everyone who is watching this to go and do. So if you're here with me and you are getting something out of this, just if you're on Facebook, do me a favor and just drop a like button to make sure that this is kind of hitting home. And if I'm going over the top or this is like missing the mark by 1,000, let me know that too. But if you could just do me a favor and just hit that thumbs or like button or any emotional reaction. All right, cool. There's people here. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Just so I know that, you know, I'm not talking some gibberish right now. So this is what I want you to do. And this one is straight from Jared. Okay. So I want you guys to close your eyes right now. And I want you to imagine that you're going into brain surgery and I'm your surgeon. Okay. I'm okay. I'm a good surgeon. But there's a chance that when I operate on you, I'm going to hit the reset button. You're going to forget everything about yourself. So what I want you to do is I want you to write a letter to yourself. So when you wake up, you know exactly who you are. Okay. So now here's a funny thing. How many of us, and I want honest opinions, say me, if you would tell 100% of the truth? So I want you to hit that heart button if you would to say 100% of the truth. You know, I'm Ryan Murphy. I'm extremely self-conscious when I'm at a swimming pool. I'm always comparing myself to other people. You know, I don't really like the way that I look in, I don't know, with my shirt off. I really struggle around Fritos and Gardettos, and I really struggle around, different chips and dips. And, I struggle to even identify as a nutrition coach because I still struggle with so many things that are going on mentally around the diet and nutrition space that, I haven't found 100% my perfect plan for myself since I stopped working with my coach. Okay. No, like, fuck that. I'm not going to write that. I'm not going to say that or write that in my letter. I'd be like, hey, Ryan, you're a badass dad. You're an awesome husband. You love on your wife every day. You love on your kids every day. Every time they ask you to wrestle, you drop down on the floor, you wrestle. Are you a little chubby right now? Yeah, but you just had a rough spot. Like you're normally got a 6-pack and you're ripped out of your mind. Your identity, you go to the pool and you go right into the swimming pool, you take off your shirt, you have all the confidence in the world. Like, when there's food on the table, you can eat whatever, you control yourself around all these foods. Your favorite food is actually this restaurant with the steak and these bread, and you take your wife there, once a month. Like, I would start writing down everything that I would want my, self when I woke up. I would write down all that stuff of exactly who I would want to become. And if that's what you would write, the second one, I want you to hit that thumbs up button, that like button. I got some confusion over here. People are like, no, I would tell myself the truth that I really struggle with like how I identify, and I struggle with how I feel enclosed. So if you would do the second, where you actually, you tell some white lies about who you ultimately want to become, hit that like button so I know that you're here with me. Because I think that's exactly the exercise that you guys should be doing tonight. So I want you to go home, or I want you, maybe you're already probably home. I want you to get out a piece of paper and I want you to write a letter to yourself. Exactly who you would want to wake up as if I hit that reset button. And I don't want you to put a timer on it. I don't want you to stress about it or anything like that. But I want you to maybe identify some situations that you don't like the way that you act or how you feel, and flip it. And then ultimately, now you're putting in a paper, you're putting out in the real world some actionable things that you should work on. And if you want help with that, just reach out. I got you. So the last thing that I want to walk away with, I'm already in the 20 minutes, but the last thing that I wanted to walk away with was how important it is to hold space for your feelings and emotions. So who here identifies as an emotional eater? If you identify as an emotional eater, just give me that heart for emotion. Drop the heart. Anyone? Oh, yeah, I forgot about the delay. Yeah, just drop the heart if you're an emotional eater. I'm an emotional eater sometimes. I'm happy, I want cake. I'm sad, I want ice cream. I'm bored, I want to go cook some barbecue. So if you're that emotional person, drop that heart in the chat so I know that you're picking up what I'm putting down. There they come. Perfect. So if you're an emotional eater, you just got to tie what emotions you're dealing with what's going on. Okay. So for instance, if you had a bad day at work and you're stressed and your husband forgot to do something and your kids are running up the wall and I don't know, maybe they're throwing their tablets at each other or something, or they're going to break something, and you're super angry. When they all go down, you're like, I finally have time for myself. Has anyone been in these situations when you've been a little stressed? Life happened, work happened, awkward conversations, and then you finally have time for yourself and everybody's calm, everybody's gone, and you have all this emotion. And then what do? Happy cocktails, sad cocktails. Thanks, Jamie. But a lot of people that I've talked to, they just have a little something and it's tracked and it's on point, and then they struggle to control themselves and reel it in because with that emotion, they're looking to get more and more and more and more out of it. So, I talked to somebody about ice cream. So their most common win or with ice cream, their experience with ice cream was they were sad, they were tired, they were emotionally drained. They went and got ice cream because it made them feel better, because they ultimately used to get ice cream with like their grandpa back in the day. And they felt that comfort of, an elder looking out for them and giving them advice, something that they were looking for from that elder through ice cream. And it's not going to happen. That makes sense, right? But that's how your brain works, is you're looking for those most recent wins. Except now, every time you're stressed, your body wants ice cream because it's looking for that. And now every time that you are in a stress situation, you can't just have a scoop of ice cream. You need to have a whole pint of ice cream, or a whole tub of ice cream, or a whole gallon of ice cream, whatever you most recently did, because even though it didn't solve the problem, it gave you what you thought you were looking for. And it is now your most recent win. So when you go back into that same mental space, your body and your brain want that comfort, and it goes for the ice cream. Except it doesn't know how to control itself around ice cream. It just thinks more is going to give me that. And that's what I did in the past. That's what I'm going to do now. Now we're getting into an identity thing too. So you guys can see how your subconscious, your identity, like all these things really drive to who you want to become. And if you show up as the best version of yourself, I know it's easier said than done, but like the best version of myself doesn't drive a Honda Accord. I want to drive a little bit nicer car. So in order to do that, I have to start doing things that are going to make me move forward as like a professional and some other things, so I can ultimately earn more money and afford the cars that I want. Same thing with diet and nutrition. I had to identify with the person that I want to become. Well, the old Ryan, sometimes he'd sleep in. The new Ryan kind of doesn't. He just kind of wakes up and goes for runs in the morning. He doesn't ask his wife for permission. Kayla, I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry that I didn't ask to see if it was okay. She wanted to go for a walk in the morning. She wanted to go exercise. I woke up a little bit before her. She just woke up. I went on a bike ride, and then I thought I was going to go like 10 miles, be back in 45 minutes. I ended up going for 20 miles, hour 15 later. I'm finally coming back. I'm sorry. That was my fault. But back to just the mental masterclass. This is just scratching the surface of where we can go when it comes to your mental, what we need to do to ultimately like heal things. But the biggest thing that we can do is create space for ourselves, safe space, and hold space for ourselves. Again, if you're coming out of a place of negativity, treat yourself like you would treat a 6-year-old version of yourself. You would never cuss out a 6-year-old version of yourself for being a fat piece of shit that can't stop eating. I know that's true. If little Wells was here and he's like, Dad, I'm sad, I'm not going to go shove a bunch of ice cream in his throat. I'm not going to call him a failure. I'm not going to be mean to him. I'm going to hold space. Like, it's okay, buddy. You can be sad. Everybody gets sad sometimes. And you just talk yourself through that and hold space. If you want to take it a step further, journal in that moment. Pen to paper. Get all that mental diarrhea out. Because what happens if you don't get the mental diarrhea out? Does anybody know? It turns into mental constipation. It's even more uncomfortable. That's like the Irish side of me. Just bury it deep down inside and don't talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't even bring it up. And eventually it'll disappear. So you got to hold space for yourself. You want to show up to be the best version of yourself. I want everybody to do the brain surgery reset, letter writing. So go write the letter to your future self when you wake up, exactly what you want to reset. And I want to know if I can help you in any way kind of achieve those goals. So if you guys do need help, obviously just drop a comment on here and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you forget any of those, I can give you some action steps of exactly what to do. All right, so I'm going to hit the recording, stop the recording, and I'm going to help the people that are live in the Zoom room. If you want that link, it's in one of the most recent comments on the Facebook page. So we're going to stop the live stream. So go to the comments on the most recent page. It says everybody like join the Zoom room. Or go to the events thing. All right. So now that we're off of Facebook and we're off of the live, if there's anybody here that has any questions or wants to put any 2 cents in, I would love to hear from you guys. Barbara, Kaylee.
I don't really have any questions. I just think tonight's class was great. Gave some really great information, some cool exercises to do, and I'm actually going to do those myself tonight. So good meeting.
Yeah, I think it could help in any aspect of your life too. If you want to be like, a better business owner or a better coach or a better, husband or a better wife or a better fiance, girlfriend, like whatever. Just be like, well, what would this ultimate, like, what would the best daughter in the world, how would she act? What would she do every day? And then start showing up to that, to like your parents. If if you want to be the best girlfriend or fiance in the world, if you want to be the most attractive single person in the world, what do the most attractive single people in the world do? I don't know. They act with confidence, right? Like, it sounds silly to even like say those things, but like if you are, looking to change, well, go write down exactly what you want to see. I think that'd get really cool.
I
Yeah, I'm
filled out
excited.
I filled out the onboarding for the new app that you sent.
Yeah.
And that was one of the questions. It's like, where do you see yourself or something like that? And yeah, I pretty much wrote down what you just said.
Ooh.
So I think yeah, good class.
I'll read it, Barbara.
Good day. So this coaching that you're going to, this seminar is conference later on this year, was October.
Yeah.
I hope that you take some classes with, not just male teachers that are instructors. I know. Well, I think that I'm guessing that most of your clients are women. So I hope that you balance it out by also seeing, some really great female coaches. That's all.
Barbara.
Yes. I'm not saying that you're going to just see men. I'm just making a suggestion, throwing it out there.
Rachel Shear is going to be there. No, this one is just for like the nutrition coach side of things. It's not really for the mindset or the mental work.
Okay.
But actually at CoachingCon, there were a lot of female presenters.
I hope you do like a 50-50 mix. It's good to get both sides.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know what's funny? I love who is it? There's a female, oh my gosh, she's got a podcast called Boners and Biceps. Allie Gilbert. Allie Gilbert is a female that coaches men on how to have like higher levels of testosterone.
Okay.
And then like one of the most successful coaches that I keep on talking about, Jared, he works primarily with women on mindset work and like how to identify as like a mom. And he's like, I have puppies, like I don't even have kids, but like it's the same like kind of science. And then I got Mike Milner, who's like he has Hashimoto's, which is prevalent in females. So he helps women with like hypothyroidism. And I think it's just funny like how the opposite sex coaches so much like that. Like I mean, yeah, the most of my clients are female, like 95%.
Okay. I like the mix.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else that I can help you guys with tonight?
I'm just going to throw it out there, but